That sounds right. That sounds great.
Everyone, I invite you to find a seat, and the ushers can help you find a matzah if you need one, and a service guide. There should be some on the seats as well. Tonight we are here to convene a court, a solemn proceeding tonight. Kol Nidre is a recognition that the most common way that we sin is with our words. So many words come out of our mouths. And despite our best efforts and the way that we even perceive ourselves, the truth is, and science shows this, we lie about once every 5 minutes. Not usually maliciously. Mostly what psychologists tell us is that we lie in little ways to protect our ego, to protect our sense of self, because we're ashamed, because we don't want to admit the truth, because it's just convenient sometimes. And we have all kinds of ways of rationalizing this for ourselves. But not tonight. Kol Nidre reminds us that the words that we say matter. And that our words also have the power to repair the damage that we do. And this isn't about somebody else. Tonight is not about pointing the finger at somebody else. On Yom Kippur, we are pressed to make allocution for ourselves in a ritual manner. Over and over again, Al-Chet, Asham, Bagadnu. To accustom ourselves to speak truth, to admit when we're wrong. In a moment, we'll read a declaration that says, by the authority of the court on high and by the authority of this court below, with divine consent and with the consent of this congregation, Anu matirin lehitpalel im ha'avaryonim. We grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. What does that mean? Who are those that have transgressed? It's all of us. Each and every one of us. Today is a day not to point fingers at others, but to look deeply into ourselves. And so let us begin tonight, as we formally begin, and we call this court to order. We rise now as we bring the Torahs from the Ark on page 204 in the Matzah. Page 204.
Shir
Page 204 at the bottom.
By the authority of the court on high, and by the authority of this court below, with divine consent and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed.
Page 205. סלח נא לעוון העם הזה כגודל חסדך, וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה, ושם נאמר. Moses prayed, as befits your abundant love, please forgive this people's sin, just as you have always forgiven this people from the time of the exodus from Egypt until now. And there it further says, Adonai replied, I have forgiven as you have asked. Page 205, near the bottom. Tonight is a solemn occasion, but is also a moment for giving thanks for a year that has passed, for reaching this moment. And so please join me together, page 205 at the bottom, to recite together Shehecheyanu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'kiyanu l'zman ha'aseh. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, for granting us life, for sustaining us, and for bringing us to this moment. We now turn to page 207 and return the Torahs to the ark, and we remain standing. Page 207, we formally begin the evening service. Please join me in English on the left-hand side, page 208, the translation of Ahabarabah. You have loved your people, the house of Israel, with infinite love. You taught us Torah and mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai our God, as we lie down or rise up, we shall think of your laws and speak of them, rejoicing in your words of Torah and in your mitzvot forever and ever. For they are our life and the fullness of our days. On them we will meditate day and night. May you never withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people of Israel. Yom Kippur, we recite the Shema differently than we do the rest of the year, reading the second line out loud together. So please join us, page 208 in the middle. Quietly at the bottom of 209, we'll join together on 210. Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael echanu shira v'simcha rabah v'yamru kula. Micha Continue on page 211 for our Hashkivenu tonight with beautiful melody and words from Hashkivenu as well as from the Psalms on page. You'll find it in your service guides on page 7. Page 212. We rise now as we prepare for the Amidah near the middle of the page. Kiva Yom Hazeh.
Kiva Yom
Page 213, we remain standing as we are able, and we begin our personal recitation of the Amidah on page 213 through page 221. When you've completed your Amidah, you're welcome to take a seat.
Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Hu yaseh Shalom.
As you complete your Amidah, you're welcome to take a seat. You might notice I have a different talit this week, so hopefully it won't be as distracting, falling off my shoulders constantly, like it was at Rosh Hashanah. I love that talit. It's the talit that I was given at my ordination, but it's made out of like butter or something. It just slips off constantly. This one, much better. So, good evening, everyone, and L'Shana Tova. When he was a child, the great rabbi who later became known as the seer of Lublin grew up in a small town near a forest. Almost daily, the young boy ventured into the woods by himself. His father, who was an understanding man, didn't want to interfere with his son's daily excursions, but he grew concerned. So one day he pulled his son aside and he said, "Why, may I ask, do you do what you do? Why do you go into the forest?" And the boy simply said, "I go into the forest to find God." "That's beautiful," his father said, "but have I not taught you that God is the same everywhere?" The son replied, "Abba, I know that God is the same everywhere, but I'm not." Here we are again. God may be the same everywhere, but coming here to synagogue somehow makes us different. We return to this place on this day every year to be grounded, to remember who we are. We are here to remember, to reclaim our place in our community. We come here to recall and recover in the presence of community the why of our lives, the reason for our strivings. Today is a day of truth. The image we hold on this day is dramatized in the Unetanet Tokef. Like the shepherd counts the sheep, God takes stock of our lives. The book of remembrance, Zecher, Sefer HaZichronot, is open today, and all secrets are known, all of our sins. There is no hiding on Yom Kippur. The drama that we are playing out on Yom Kippur is a rehearsal for the day of our death. That's the theology of Yom Kippur. Think about it for a moment. What do we do on Yom Kippur? We fast, which to Jews is like death, right? We wear a simple white garment reminiscent of our burial shroud. There's a profound wisdom in this. The philosopher Franz Rosenzweig once said that on Yom Kippur, a Jew gets to see their life through the eyes of eternity. And through the eyes of eternity, you get to ask yourself what really matters to you. What is your life? What will be your legacy? We don't have to wait until the end of our lives to address these questions. Yom Kippur gives us an opportunity to rehearse our mortality once a year. Perhaps this is the reason that we have the practice of reciting memorial prayers on Yom Kippur. In fact, Yizkor originates on Yom Kippur. As we view our lives through the lens of eternity, we can't help but to call to mind those we love who have left this world. The festivals provide a poignant reminder of who is no longer sitting around the table. Yizkor makes us mindful of the legacy we leave behind. In the prayer, we ask God to remember our loved ones, and we pledge to dedicate our lives and our resources to upholding their best values. Yizkor is a gift to mourners. It provides structure to our chaotic grief process, and it prescribes a script at moments when words fail. Words seem so feeble. So our tradition recognizes that the most valuable thing we can do for someone in mourning is offer our quiet presence. Nonetheless, our sages prescribe words of consolation to be offered to mourners. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch she'ar avlei Tzion v'Yushalayim. May God console you among the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. What is the meaning of this enigmatic valediction? That's what it's called. Those familiar with Hebrew will note that it uses a strange word for God, not a common name for God, hamakom. The word literally means the place. May the place console you. This is considered one of God's names. It alludes to Jacob's encounter with God through a vision of angels ascending and descending a stairway to heaven. The Torah recounts Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. Vayifga b'makom vayalen sham kiva hashemesh. Vayifga b'makom. He came upon the place, a certain place, and stopped for the night, for the sun had set. The sages offer the following interpretation. Jacob encountered Hamakom, the place. Rav Huna, in the name of Rav Ami, says, why do we call the Holy Blessed One by the name Makom, place? Because God is the place of the world. Yet the world is not God's place. That is to say, God cannot be contained by the world. After awakening from the dream, Jacob exclaims, Achen yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh ve'anochi lo yadati. Surely Adonai is present in this makom, this place, and I did not know it. Shaken, he said, Ma norah hamakom hazeh. How awesome is this makom? And I did not know it. This is none other than the abode of God, and that is the gateway of heaven. Okay, so here's my personal theology, as they say, on one foot. You ready? This is it. God is hamakom. God is everything, and everything is contained in God. Like our forefather Jacob, we are blind to God. So religion, Judaism, our religion, offers us sacred practices and sacred moments to awaken us to God's presence around us and within us. Humans are endowed with a hidden spark of that divine. This mysterious thing we call our neshama, our soul, our spirit, is a gift, and the path through which God is most available to us. When we encounter our soul and the souls of others, it is there that we are most attached to the radical unity of all being we call God. How's that for elevator pitch theology? Right? That's it. I believe that we refer to God as makom in the context of mourning to remind us that what brings us most comfort is being held by the collective soul of a community. Any place where souls come together to care for one another can be hamakom. Through the experience of our son Kobe's illness and his death, my family and I felt held and supported by this makom, this place, this community we call HEA. This is who we are at our best. HEA is a place where souls encounter one another, not just to mourn, but also to celebrate and to share all of life's precious moments in the company of others. It is here that we encounter hamakom, God's nurturing presence. Another midrash teaches, why is the Holy One referred to as Hamakom? Because in any place where there are righteous people, God can be found in their midst. As it says in Exodus, in every place, every makom, where I cause my name to be mentioned, I shall come to you and bless you. Let me tell you then about some of the angels who bring blessing upon this makom. Under the wise and steady and compassionate leadership of Rabbi Dahlin, HEA is growing into a place of moving spirituality and deep personal relationships. When you encounter Hamakom, this place of holiness, you should leave just as our ancestor Jacob, changed by it, changed by the experience, different than when you arrived. You should be able to say, Ma nora hamakom hazeh, how inspiring is this place? And let me be clear, I'm not talking about the physical location of the synagogue. Obviously, we're not even there right now. Hamakom is any place where we encounter our souls and the souls of others. Transformed by our encounter and primed for connection and empathy, we become better prepared as human beings to pursue a kinder and more just world. Let me tell you about some more of the angels in this makom. Our religious school, under the thoughtful and passionate leadership of Rabbi Amanda Schwartz, undertook a thoughtful and reflective process with students, teachers, and parents over the last year, resulting in an exciting new curriculum focused on character development through Jewish values and practices. Naomi Kirshner, our program director, is a person of deep compassion who sees the spark of the divine in every single person. She and countless volunteers who reach out to our most vulnerable members make this a makom chesed, a place of loving kindness. Shir Hadash, who heads up our outreach to young families, has a keen eye for space and place. She makes this a colorful and sparkly place, if you know Shira. She invites families with young children to feel at home in this place. Shira is working to ensure the future of this makom. Our new youth director, Or Chai, along with his wife Victoria, who helps coordinate the programs for our youngest age group, brings so much enthusiasm to making this a makom for young people to feel at home in their Judaism. Colby Morris Dahari recently rejoined our staff after spending 4 years in Israel with her husband Noam, who thankfully will be rejoining her soon here. As our rabbinic intern, Colby embodies the biblical prophet Miriam. She imbues Ruach, the divine spirit, into every aspect of this makom. Rebecca Paradise, who succeeded Stacy Wasserman as our preschool director, has been in this makom for 20 years. Rebecca, along with Jamie Lampert, Danny Wynn, and our dedicated preschool faculty, are setting children and their families on the path to Jewish engagement. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention our administrative staff, who are also part of making this makom function. We all know that Neil Price is a tzaddik, a righteous man. If you work with Jewish people for over 35 years, you've got to be a tzaddik. Neil heads up a team that labors tirelessly behind the scenes to make this makom, this place, work. We owe a debt of gratitude to Joyce Perlmutter, Debbie Lagerborg, Gail Kessel, Leah Marcus, Albert Cohen, Anna Zentiviani, James McKeon, Terry Kanegi, Robin Bjornson, Christopher Kanegi, Bin, and Von Vu. You may not even know these people, but when you come to shul, it's because of them that you have a clean place and things get done. And our newest staff member, Jody Meyer, brings warmth and an attentive eye to her role as Director of Operations. We are a makom dedicated to meeting the needs of a diverse community by providing options to connect spiritually through prayer. Danny Tavbin continues to lead Shir Hadash with passion and grace. Along with the entire davening team, Danny makes Shir Hadash a sanctuary where God's presence can be felt. Fred Karp, who organizes Torah reading at Shir Hadash, helps bring people closer to Torah literally and figuratively. I also want to acknowledge our traditional service continues to be the anchor of this community. Sherry Grinsteiner, who also, like Colby, is a rabbinical student, stepped into the role this year of ritual director and is making an outstanding effort to cultivate talented lay leaders. If you come to the traditional service on a Shabbat morning, you will feel the palpable kavanah. I feel it, the kavanah, the sincerity, the intentionality of those who stand on the bima and daven. Their dedication makes our sanctuary truly a makom kadosh, a holy place. We look forward to continuing the work of strengthening and enhancing our traditional service. And I want to acknowledge and thank our dedicated board of directors who give selflessly of their time to steward this organization. Under the diligent leadership of our board president, Lynn Geller, and VP of Long Range Planning, Bruce Lykoff, our board has articulated a beautiful strategic plan that is about making this makom, our congregation, truly a place of ruach, of moving spirituality and enduring relationships. So I want to thank our dedicated board members, Mark Alpert, Jeff Ehrenheim, Joel Azriel, Karen Blank, Mallory Busto, Barbara Carroll, Seth Davis, Ellen Goldberg-Butler, Josh Gold, Peter Gottlieb, Jeff Greenstein, Jill Levy, Sid Methner, Mona Jacobson, Lori Morris, Susan Schiff, Lisa Soischer, Kimberly Turnbow, Elena Vida, and Eve Wood. And also to all their predecessors on whose shoulders they stand. It's important that I mention them because you may not know who is on our board. But these are the people that are making sure month after month and day after day that this makom thrives. And I could not even begin to list the countless volunteers, donors, and supporters who ensure the vitality of our community. But most importantly and lastly, I want to recognize all of you because ultimately it is you who make HEA a makom kadosh, a holy place. I see it in so many small and large acts of kindness you perform every day. And I can attest to it from my own personal experience. My family felt the holiness of this place in so many ways over the last 3 years. If every HEA family could feel some of that ruach and connection, what an amazing makom this would be. In the book of Exodus, God tells the Israelites to build a sanctuary. Va'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Build me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Like the story with the boy in the forest, why would God, who is everywhere, need a sanctuary, need a special place? How can an infinite God be contained in just one location? But a close reading of the Hebrew is instructive. The Torah doesn't say, build me a sanctuary that I may dwell in it. The Torah says, build me a sanctuary that I may dwell betocham, literally within them, the Israelites. Our mission and vision as a synagogue is to be a makom kadosh, a sacred place that helps people flourish and seek meaning through the wisdom of Torah and through deep connections to others. Our vision is of a makom where God's presence dwells within us and between us. A Jewish folk story tells of a wealthy nobleman who lived in a small Jewish village. The wealthy man was getting on in years, and he decided that he wanted to do something important to leave a lasting legacy for his community. He decided he wanted to construct the perfect synagogue as a gift to the people he loved so much. He hired only the best artisans, craftsmen from far and wide. For months, the town was abuzz with excitement as workers labored in secret day and night on this holy enterprise. None of the villagers were allowed even a glimpse of the project until it was completed. Finally, the big day arrived, and everyone in the village gathered for the momentous dedication of their new synagogue. The benefactor shared with everyone as they crowded around his dream that this place would reflect the very best that everyone had to give. Then the people were welcomed inside. They marveled at the beautiful architecture, the handiwork of the craftsmen. But after looking around at the extraordinary new building, someone asked, "Where are the lamps? How are we supposed to see in this place? Where does the light come from?" The nobleman pointed to rows of elegant hooks on the walls. Then he gave each family a lamp with a ring at its top. He said, "You must bring these lamps when you come to the synagogue. When you come, when you show up, with your presence, you will illuminate our building. And when you bring that light home with you to your Shabbat table, to your neighbors in need, the light of our community will radiate forth into the world." It is up to us to illuminate our makom with the divine light found in each of us and share that light with our children and grandchildren. In her address to you this evening, through Lori, Lynn Geller will share with you about our Live On Life and Legacy campaign to secure HEA's future. Each one of us has the opportunity to ensure that this makom, this synagogue, and its holy mission will continue to illuminate lives. By designating an after-lifetime charitable gift, we continue the legacy of caring, generosity, and kindness our ancestors bequeathed to us. Melanie and I have done this through the Life and Legacy program, and I hope you will consider this as well. I don't intend for this to be a fundraising appeal as such. It is about making a commitment that after you and I leave this world, God willing, many years from now, together we can ensure this makom is here for our children and their children. On this day of self-reflection, when we contemplate what our life's legacy will be and where we fit in this makom that is God's abode, I want to encourage us all to consider making HEA and the other many Jewish organizations in Colorado participating in this campaign part of the legacy we leave behind. I'm proud to say that HEA is my makom, the place where I feel the divine presence through my encounters with all of you. I look forward to serving this sacred community alongside Rabbi Dahlin and our amazing staff, volunteers, and benefactors for years to come. And I thank you for being that holy makom for me and my family when we needed you, and for the ways that you illuminate this space for one another. This is the kind of makom that HEA can aspire to be, a place that awakens the soul and connects us to one another and to God. Yet it takes effort. Asuli mikdash, make for me a sanctuary, says God, that I might dwell in the midst of the people. When you make your presence felt and make your soul known to other souls, when you show up and when you step up, when you celebrate in the joy of other families and offer yourself up to those in need, then this place truly becomes a makom, a place where God can be found. Gamar Chatima Tova, may we be sealed for a good year. Shana Tova. At this time, it's my pleasure now to call upon our immediate past president, Lori Morris, to give an address on behalf of our board president, Lynn Geller.
Rep... Yep. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. As Rabbi Grunwald said, I am speaking tonight on behalf of Lynn Geller, our president, and I am reading her speech. So when I speak in the first person I, you will be hearing Lynn's voice. We are taught at a very young age to help others who are in need. I was really touched by the following story, which explains this value very well. Fran Walpo, a longtime member in our congregation, called Neil Price to ask if someone could pick her up to bring her to shul a few months ago. Too loud?
No, not loud.
Oh, not loud enough. Oh. Neil, as he always does, told her he'd arrange for someone to meet her at her home to give her a ride. As agreed, Fran waited outside for the ride, and along came Vivian Singer, someone Fran had seen at shul but did not know well. The two struck up a lovely relationship over weeks of going to services together. Vivian had recently lost her mother and invited Fran to join her for lunch and some shopping, just as she used to do with her own mother. As you likely know, Vivian is very busy with her work, taking care of her husband, and now checking in on Fran and others she cares about. These two women have experienced a lot of change in their lives with the loss of loved ones, some loss of independence, and the need for relationships in their lives. They are both strong women who have seen enough during their lives to know what is important and that change and transitions need to be dealt with head-on and are best faced with a positive attitude. Just as people must learn how to work through transitions, so do organizations. The predecessor to the HEA, the Denver Hebrew Institute, was incorporated in 1920 with the formative years starting in October 1932 when Rabbi Manuel Lederman came to Denver to be the HEA's first rabbi. Rabbi Lederman served as the rabbi for 47 years until he retired, and Rabbi Daniel Goldberger took over in 1979. Rabbi Goldberger worked for the congregation for 14 years until 1994, when Rabbi Bruce Dolan became only the third senior rabbi, just a year after Cantor Marty Goldstein was hired. Rabbi Dolan was tasked with moving the HEA from the west side of Denver to that beautiful location, with evolving towards the inclusion of women in the service, changing our affiliation from Orthodox to egalitarian conservative, selecting new Siddurim, and to grow our membership. No synagogue in Colorado has ever had these many changes in such a short period of time. Because of those adaptations, the HEA has grown from about 400 families to the 930 we are now, more than doubling in size. Think of all the changes and transitions that have taken place over the past nearly 100 years. Some of our congregants have been a very strong part of this history and seen the success of these changes over the years. In the spirit of getting to know those who are sitting among us and who have seen the many transitions that the HEA has been through over the decades, I ask that the people whose name I mention stand or wave so we can recognize you. Cohen families, Harold, Phil, and Agnette, Dorothea and Saul Flaxen family, Deb Friedman and Howard Brotman and family, Camlet families of Stan and Luann, Danny and Susie, Perlmutter families of Essie, Jay and Lisa, Joe and Shelley, Vicki and David Dansky, Shell and Lisa Cook, and Jonathan and Lisa. They're all over there. Gerard and Sheila Radofsky and family, Ron and Haley Bernstein and Craig Morrison, the families of Rhoda and Joe Kaplan, Salomon and Hockstead families, Ken and Joan, Ron and Audrey, Bob and Diane, and Jeffrey and Stacy, the Toltz and Naaman families, the Rubin families of Rick and Julie, and Irvin and Charlotte, Goldie and Marvin Smith, Shirley Yolen and family, Jeff, Marty, and Susie Grazi. Jeff, I saw you. There you are. Honey, and David Wedgel Gesundheit. I'm sure I left some families out, so if you and your family were part of the West Side HEA, please also stand so we can see the amazing foundation that built this fantastic community. Thank you so much for all you have done. If it weren't Kol Nidre, I would ask for a round of applause. The HEA has an incredible history. The only reason an institution can remain viable, healthy, and strong for these many years is that woven into the fabric of the organization is vibrancy, resilience, and openness to change. During 57-78, we saw a lot of change. Some affected us very emotionally and deeply, and I know this is coming, and I even brought my Kleenex. It's like some affected us very emotionally and deeply, like the passing of Kobe, Rabbi and Solomon, and Melanie's son. We came together in December 2017 to celebrate Kobe becoming a bar mitzvah. And in January, the sanctuary was full again for Kobe's funeral. We supported the Grunwald family and each other through this horrible time and continue to be with them now. In April, we received Cantor Marty's resignation and wished him well at a beautiful Nashira service in early June with 400 of you in attendance. In May, we said goodbye to longtime employees Stacy Wasserman and Danny Tabman, only as an employee. Stacy was our preschool director and had worked for the HEA for 17 years, and Danny had been our youth director for the past 4 years. Then in June, we welcomed Jody Meyer as our operations director, who has hit the ground running and is helping Neil so much, I see him smiling all the time. Also, in June, Rebecca Paradis was named the new preschool director after so many years as a teacher and collaborator with Stacy. Or Hai, our new youth director, started his new job this summer. Sorry, you guys didn't compare notes. In August, Sherry Greensteiner took on the role of ritual director, ensuring that our traditional service runs smoothly every Shabbat, morning, and holiday. 3 weeks ago, Colby Morris Dahari began her role as rabbinic intern and will be focused on life cycle event coordination, some pastoral care, and bringing Ruach music to our school-age members. For the high holidays, we are so pleased to have Cantor Yaakov Zingboim with us, ensuring we can enjoy our wonderful Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur service. That's a lot of change. I am comforted, though, because despite this turnover of the HEA staff, our membership numbers have been maintained, including the welcoming of new families. Some of you may still be deciding if the HEA is the place of you to be with friends, to study, to celebrate life cycle events, or to share a Shabbat meal. I respect that you have choices. I also appreciate your patience to see what the HEA will look like now that Cantor Marty is at BMHBJ, and we have a lot of new staff. What I know is that every board member, both rabbis, and all the staff do their best every day to provide you with a way to be inspired to live a life of meaning. What's this? This is breaking news. I've just received an important press release from our one and only Albert Cohn, via Seth, caterer extraordinaire, who served Kiddush at Mount Sinai. The 614th commandment was, "Thou shalt not change anything regarding Kiddush." Kiddush isn't changing. Everyone is welcome to enjoy tuna fish, egg salad, and brownies, and on the rare occasion, some herring to remember the Kiddushes we shared oh so long ago. Now back to the more serious side of my remarks. Each year, as we prepare for the High Holy Days, we have an opportunity to reflect on our lives. Who am I? Where am I going? Have I accomplished what I set out to? What are my goals for next year, the year after, my lifetime? These days of awe provide us with the time to pause, to reflect on our priorities and our passions, a time to consider the world, the vision, and the legacy we want to leave for those who come after us. The image of having our names sealed in the book of life is a powerful one. Our story is written because of choices we make, things we do, the organizations we support, the causes important to us. Over the next 25 hours, as you take stock of the past year and think about the year ahead, take a moment to reflect on what kind of legacy you want to leave. Start with your family. What are the values you want to pass on? When they think of you, what do you most want them to remember? Then think of our community. Consider what our traditions, heritage, people, and community mean to you, what role they play in your life, and what role you can play in ensuring they exist for future generations. You might have heard that the HEA is participating in Live On, Build Your Jewish Legacy, an initiative of Rose Community Foundation and Life and Legacy, a partnership program of the Harold Grinspoon Foundation. These two have joined together to strengthen the greater Denver Boulder Jewish communities by encouraging endowment building and legacy giving. The HEA endowment currently is nearly $1.4 million, and we have learned from the Grinspoon Foundation and other experts that strong organizations have 10 to 15 million endowments built up to rely on for their future. We probably all wonder how the HEA and other Jewish organizations will survive with changes in demographics and lower young adult participation and membership rates. The HEA is currently financially stable, and our membership is at the same level last year at about 930 families. We have 91 students in the preschool and 152 in the religious school. I want to make sure our membership and enrollment numbers stay this strong and even grow. That is why Lynn and her husband, and my husband Louis and I, many of the board of directors, the rabbis, Neil and Michelle, and others have decided to name the HEA as a beneficiary in our wills, life insurance policies, retirement funds, and other bequests, so we leave a legacy for future generations. You will see a poster in the lobby tonight about this program, and there is a card at your seat explaining the program. In a couple weeks, you will receive in the mail a letter and a declaration of commitment you can use to indicate your willingness to leave the HEA a legacy gift. If no follow-up is needed, complete the form and return it to the HEA. Otherwise, over the course of this year and next, we will contact you for a discussion about your legacy. None of us know what the future holds, so I ask that you consider making sure the HEA will be part of the Denver Jewish landscape for many generations to come. There are many people who work very diligently every day to ensure that future, and I'd like to quickly thank them. Rabbis Dahlin and Gruenwald are an amazing spiritual team who are leading this congregation to be ready for the future. I am honored to work with them and learn from them with every interaction. Neil, thank you for your continued dedication and the immense energy you bring to the HEA every day. To the office and professional staff, teachers, custodians, and catering staff, you keep the HEA running efficiently with great enthusiasm. It is a pleasure to be welcomed and inspired by you as we work to keep the HEA a shining light in our lives. I also want you to know the Executive Committee and Board of Directors are a terrific group of volunteers who give hundreds of hours of their time each year to provide governance and support to all the staff and members of the HEA. I trust each and every one of them and greatly appreciate their devotion to the HEA. Lori Morris, that's me. The immediate past president, and Seth Davis, that's him. VP of Finance, and more importantly, President-elect. Give me, that's Lynn, tremendous assistance and guidance that she couldn't do without. and she thanks me for giving this speech. And she also thanks Aiden Starosta for, who's the president of Mile High Y, for his important leadership role in the shul. And also at this point, Lynn thanks her husband and her daughters for their support. So I will now thank my husband, Louis, and my sons for their continued support, and to tell them that this is finally the end. So I wish you and your families a Gemar Chitama Tova. May you be sealed for a blessing in the book of life. Shana Tova.
Tova, Shana Tova. Yashkoach to Lynn/Lori, and we now will continue our service with on page 223.
Ya'ale tachanunenu me'erev ve'yavo shavatenu miboker ve'yero'erinunenu ad arev ve'yero'erinunenu ad arev Ya'ale koleinu me'erev ve'yarot tzidkatenu miboker
Please rise.
Ve'yerefidionenu ad arev ve'yerefidionenu ad arev Ya'ale inuyenu me'erev ve'yavo slichatenu miboker ve'yeranakatenu ad arev ve'yeranakatenu ad arev
Please join me on the left-hand side, responsively on page 223. May our supplications rise up at evening, our pleas arrive with the dawn, our songs transform the dusk. May our voices rise up at evening, our righteous acts arrive with the dawn, our redemption transform the dusk. May our suffering rise up at evening, our forgiveness arrive with the dawn, our purity transform the dusk. May our prayers rise up at evening, coming to you with the dawn, transforming us at dusk. We now turn to page 226.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanun, Erech Apayim, Verav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzeh Chesed La'alafim, Noseh
V'salachta le'avoneinu ulechatotenu unachateinu. Forgive our transgressions and our sins. Claim us as your own. Please join me at the bottom of the page on 226 as we continue. Slach lanu avinu ki chatanu machalenu ki pashanu ki ata Adonai tov v'salach v'rav chesed lechol korecha. Page 227. Please join me responsively on the left-hand side. As clay in the hand of the potter, who thickens or thins it at will, so are we in your hand, guardian of love. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser. As stone in the hand of the mason, who preserves or breaks it at will, so are we in your hand, God of life and death. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser. As iron in the hand of the blacksmith, who forges or withdraws it at will, so are we in your hand, support of the poor.
Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As the helm in the hand of the sailor, who holds the course or abandons it at will, so are we in your hand, God, good and forgiving God. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser. As glass in the hand of the glazier, who shapes or melts it at will, so are we in your hand, pardoner of sin and transgression.
Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As cloth in the hand of the draper, who drapes or twists it at will, so are we in your hand, righteous God. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser. As silver in the hand of the smelter, who alloys or refines it at will, so are we in your hand, healer of wounds. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser. We now turn to page 232. Ve'ya'avor Adonai al panav vayikra b'shem Adonai.
Elorei talanu lamar shalosh esrei zecholanu ayom berit shalosh esrei כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם כמו שכתוב וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמו שם ויקרא בשם אדוני ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא אדוני אדוני
Forgive our transgressions and our sins. Claim us as your own. Forgive us, our Creator, for we have sinned. Pardon us, our Sovereign, for we have transgressed. For you, Adonai, are kind and forgiving. You act generously to all who call on you. Now turn to, we're at the bottom of page 232.
סלח נבון המזה כגודל חסדך, אשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים עד הנה ושם נאמר, ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך.
You'll find the words to Lev Tahor, an interpretive version of the prayer where we recite on page 233. You'll find the words on page 7, along with Shema Kolenu in our Machzor.
Lev Tahor
Hear our voice, Adonai our God. Be kind and have compassion for us. Willingly and lovingly accept our prayer. Shema Koleinu in the middle of 233.
Shema Koleinu Adonai
Shivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekeder. Al tashlichenu milfanecha v'ruach kodshecha al tikach mimenu. Al tashlichenu le'et zikna kichlot kochenu al ta'azvenu. Page 234, the ark is closed and we remain standing.
Ki anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu, anu vanecha ve'ata avinu, anu avadecha ve'ata
Page 234 on the left-hand side in English. Please join Marissa at the bottom of the page on 234 on the left.
Our God and God of our ancestors, hear our prayer. Do not ignore our plea. Our God and God of our ancestors, we are neither suffering nor sorry or silly to claim in your presence that we are righteous without sin, for like our ancestors came before us, have sinned.
Please join on page 235 for the short confessional Asham. מצוותיך ומשפטיך הטובים ולא שווה לנו, ואתה צדיק על כל הבא עלינו, כי אמת עשית ואנחנו הרשענו. We have turned from your goodly laws and commandments, but it has not profited us. Surely you are in the right with respect to all that comes upon us, for you have acted faithfully, but we have been in the wrong. We continue now on page 237. As we recite these al-Chetz and throughout Yom Kippur, I invite us to hold an image, not so much of self-flagellation, of punishment, but of softening, of tenderizing our hearts. In Parshat Nitzavim, which we recently read in Shul, it says that God will, when we return to God, God will soften our hearts and cut away the thickening around our hearts that is a barrier between us and our better selves. And so with that, let us continue with the al-Chetz on page 237, beginning in the Hebrew.
al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha be'ones u'beratzon, al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev, al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha bivlei da'at, I
invite you to continue in Hebrew or in English through this section.
al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yod'im u'velo yod'im, ve'al kulam Elohim selichot, selach lanu mechalanu
Please join Olivia responsively in the English on the left-hand side, bottom of 237.
We have sinned against you through denial and deceit.
And we have sinned against you by taking bribes.
We have sinned against you by clever cynicism.
And we have sinned against you by speaking ill of others.
We have sinned against you by the way we do business.
And we have sinned against you in our eating and drinking.
We have sinned against you by greed and oppressive interest.
And we have sinned against you through arrogance.
We have sinned against you in everyday conversation.
And we have sinned against you through conspiratorial glances.
We have sinned against you through condescension.
And we have sinned against you through stubbornness For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. Continue in Hebrew or English. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bifrikat ol, el chet shechatanu lefanecha biflilut, al chet shechatanu lefanecha. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bitchumat yad, ve'al chet שחטאנו לפניך בתמכון לבב ועל כולם הסליחות סלח לנו מחלנו קבל We continue now on page 243 with Avinu Malkeinu. As we open the ark, we remain standing. Page 243.
Responsively on 243. Avinu Malkeinu, we have sinned in your presence.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have no sovereign but you.
Avinu Malkeinu, act towards us kindly in accord with your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, make this a good new year for us.
Avinu Malkeinu, annul every harsh decree against us.
Avinu Malkeinu, nullify the designs of our foes.
Avinu Malkeinu, frustrate the plots of our enemies.
Avinu Malkeinu, rid us of every oppressor and adversary.
Avinu Malkeinu, rid your covenanted people of disease, war, hunger, captivity, and destruction.
Avinu Malkeinu, forgive and pardon all our sins.
Avinu Malkeinu, do not look toward our sins and transgressions, blot them out.
Avinu Malkeinu, return us to your presence fully penitent.
Avinu Malkeinu, send complete healing to the sick among your people.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember us favorably.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for good in the book of life.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of sustenance.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of merit.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of forgiveness.
Avinu Malkeinu, achzireinu b'tshuvah shlema lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, shlach refuah shlema lecholei amecha. We're in the middle of the page. Avinu Malkeinu, zachreinu b'zikaron tov lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, kadveinu b'sefer chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, kadveinu b'sefer geula v'yeshua. Avinu Malkeinu, kadveinu b'sefer parnasa v'chalkala. Avinu Malkeinu, kadveinu b'sefer zechuyot. Avinu Malkeinu, kadveinu b'sefer sechila u'mechila. Please continue on the left-hand side following Rebecca and responsively.
Avinu Malkeinu, cause our salvation to flourish soon.
Avinu Malkeinu, cause your people Israel to be exalted.
Avinu Malkeinu, raise up your anointed with strength.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, be kind, sympathize with us.
Avinu Malkeinu, accept our prayer willingly and lovingly.
Avinu Malkeinu, do not turn us away empty-handed.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember that we are but dust.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion for us, our infants and our children.
Avinu Malkeinu, do this for the sake of those who were martyred for your holy name.
Avinu Malkeinu, do this for the sake of those who were slaughtered for their exclusive devotion to you. Next page.
Avinu Malkeinu, do this for the sake of those who went through fire and water to sanctify your holy name.
Avinu Malkeinu, do this for your sake, if not for ours.
Avinu Malkeinu, have mercy on us, answer us, for our deeds are insufficient. Deal with us charitably and lovingly, and redeem us.
Avinu Malkeinu,
Page 245.
Yitkadal ve'yikadash Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Ve'alma divrei chiruteh ve'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayetecho Beit Yisrael baralai zman kariveim baru. Amen. Look at that. Yehesh merabah mevarach le'olam olam le'olmaya. Itbarach ve'yishabach ve'yitpar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yitaleh ve'yithalal Shemei dekudesha Shemei dekudesha brichu le'ela le'ela mikol birchata ve'shirata tushbechata ve'nechemata tamaran bilma ve'imaru. Amen. Titkabat zeloton uvaoton techa Yisrael kadam avuhon divishmaya ve'imeru ve'imeru. Amen. Yehesh tamarabba min shemaya ve'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru ve'imeru. Amen.
Remain standing for Aleinu, page 246.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latei
Kaddish is on page 247. I invite those reciting Kaddish and those for whom it is your custom to remain standing. Page 247. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra kirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. B'agalau v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omer maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. Gamar Chatima Tova, everyone. Shana Tova. Thank you for being here this evening and lending your voice and your spirit, your ruach, and your connection here, lending that to us and making this service a beautiful service tonight. And I want to thank our davening team, of course, for being the models of participation for all of us. Tomorrow morning, Shacharit services for Yom Kippur start at 9:30 here at Bethany Lutheran at Shir Hadash, and the traditional service at 9 a.m. at the sanctuary. Yizkor will be at approximately noon. Mincha is all together, Mincha Ne'ilah, and so on, is all together as a community back at the HEA sanctuary starting at 5 o'clock for Mincha. 6:40 we will begin Ne'ilah and the ark will be open. And at 7:50 we sound the shofar and conclude our fast. Childcare tomorrow starts at 9 a.m. and concludes at about 1:15. So if you are availing yourself of that, please be mindful of those times. Anything else? No. Thank you again all for being here. May you have a meaningful fast. Though it may not be easy, may it be a meaningful and introspective fast. We conclude with a selection from Psalm 27, which you'll find on page 248, about the 7th line down, Achat Sha'alti. I ask only one thing of God, to dwell in God's house all the days of my life, to behold God's beauty and visit in God's sanctuary. Page 248.
Achat Sha'alti Meit Adonai Ota Avakesh. Achat Sha'alti Meit Adonai Ota Avakesh. Shifti b'Beit Adonai kol yamei chayai, לחזות בנועם, בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו. לחזות בנועם, בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו. Achat Sha'alti Meit Adonai Ota Avakesh. Achat Sha'alti Meit Adonai Ota Avakesh. Shifti b'Beit Adonai kol yamei chayai, לחזות בנועם, בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו. לחזות בנועם, בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו. Achat Sha'alti Meit Adonai Ota Avakesh. Achat Sha'alti Meit Adonai Ota
Shana Tova. May you have an easy and meaningful fast. Good night, everyone.